guys, it's Lindsay and it's starting to feel like fall. I have my little pumpkin spice candle out. I'm drinking my pumpkin spice latte. I've got my wintertime gray nails. I've got the cute vest and I'm feeling it. I'm feeling fall. The holiday palettes are coming out and we are just now getting started on them. Today is going to be a first impressions on this. I'm actually trying to do an unboxing and I just opened the box up. It's a Sephora box and it's of the Tarte, the Pretty Paintbox Collector Edition palette by Tarte. When I saw this, I flipped my lid, lost it, everything. So this kit really, it comes with a lot of different things. I believe it was $58 on Sephora.com. I believe it is a Tarte holiday palette that is exclusive to just Sephora, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't see it on the Tarte website or Ulta.com. So let's get into it because it has a lot of goodies. On the back, it just gives you the ingredients and what it's formulated with. It says works of Tarte and it's the Holiday 2016 palette. I'm super excited. Let's keep a count of how many times I say super excited. So I'm just going to open this up for the first time. Now I'm doing this review sort of how I always do all of my first impressions. I don't have any eye makeup on or any of my face makeup because this does have face products in it. I had to have my foundation, concealer, and powder on, and that is the extent of what I've got as far as makeup on my face. Here we go, opening up the box. Oh, so beautiful. God, this is big. So first impression, this is a really, really big box. It kind of has the same color scheme as the Tartelette in Bloom palette, which is the other Tarte palette that I'm going to be comparing this palette to. But this is really big, really chunky. Like here is a Morphe E1, like how chunky it is. I'd say that's about as chunky as a Morphe E1. Like that's a big, thick palette. If you already have a lot of palettes and you need to save a lot of space, this is not going to be your friend. So we're just going to open the palette up together. I'm super nervous. I'm super excited. Let's do this. Ooh. Ooh, oh my gosh. Now these are absolutely stunning. I love a good neutrals palette just as much as the next person. It doesn't look like you can even take this palette out as like a removable palette. And this is the blushes and the bronzers, and these don't look, they're removable either. So if you want more of a travel friendly type of palette, you might need to like look into depotting these, is what it's looking like. But the shades are really beautiful. Then you have this little flap that says Imagine, Create, and Inspire right here. Pull this up and you get a mascara, an eyeliner, and a Tartiste lip gloss. So this is generally what the whole palette looks like. This is so pretty. Now looking online, I thought that these shadows would actually be the same size as what is in the Tartelette palettes. I only have the In Bloom palette. This is one of my all-time favorites. And I mainly got this Tartelette Pretty Collector's box, mainly because I thought it would be sort of like a bigger version of the Tartelette In Bloom. And the pan sizes are way smaller than the Tartelette In Bloom. So this is the Tartelette In Bloom palette right here, and then this is the shadows in the Pretty Paintbox Collector's Edition. And right off the bat, I would say that there are some similarities with the Tartelette In Bloom palette and then this Tarte Pretty Paintbox Collector's Edition palette. Like I can see a lot of similarities. So I think if you really love the formulation of these shadows and this palette is really kind of like right up your alley, this might be sort of like a continuation of that palette, just in a smaller pan size. So we'll get into that. I definitely can't wait to get to swatching all of these and then doing an eye look with these. So guys, before I get into the swatches, I'm going to go ahead and jump into just a little quick eye look just to kind of see how the shadows work with the other makeup products on, and then we'll get into the swatches. So yeah, stay tuned. So because there are a ton of nude shades, I think the first one that I want to go for, I think I want to go after Hearts and Crafts first. It's sort of like a mid-tone, almost peachy pink. I think I want to go in the crease with this first. I've already primed my eyelids with the MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. So the first shade I'm picking up is Hearts and Crafts, and I already noticed that not a lot is picking up on my brush, and there's a lot of powder that is dusting up out of the actual palette itself. So when I go into the Hearts and Crafts shade, a lot of powder comes up, but not a lot of product is distributed onto the eyeshadow brush, and this was clean. Like this was completely white before. So it doesn't seem insanely pigmented right off, and I'm just going to go into the crease. I'm definitely having to build these colors up, but it seems to be a really pretty matte so far. It's just not crazy pigmented. I'm packing my brush with the shadow itself, and then I'm going into the crease. I'm not getting a huge amount of product on the eyelid. Now I am fairly fair. I'm like medium, I'm light medium. Sometimes I tend to be more on the fairer side depending on when my self-tanner fades away. So that is that first shade. It seems to be really pretty. It's really light. I thought it would have been a little bit more closer to the Sweetheart shade in the Tartelette in Bloom palette, but you can still see it, but it's not insanely pigmented. I'm wearing sort of like a mauve shirt today, and I always do warm eyeshadow looks, so I'm gonna go more towards the bottom section. The bottom 12 section I think is sort of what I'm wanting to go for. I think I'm going to take a flat shader brush. This is the Sigma Large Shader E60 brush. I think I want to go into Monochrome, which is this really pretty, almost beigey sand shimmer. And I'm just packing that on with my brush. And you can see like it definitely has a little bit of powder kick up. I'm taking this shade and going all across the lid. It's a decently pigmented shade, but it's not like a foiled look. Actually, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with glitter glue, just because I really want like a really shimmery shade, and it might be that the monochrome shade isn't meant to be that much of a foiled look. So I'm going in with glitter glue, and I'm not finding any powder pickup off of this shade at all. I'm going to go right over top. And I think because I put the powder down before, it's not really letting this one stick all too well. I think what I want to do is grab a different shader brush. This is a MAC 2. I don't even know what this is. Just a flat shader brush from MAC. And I'm going in with the glitter glue again. I think it's just my brush that I'm using. I just want to test it to make sure. I'm just packing that on the inner portion of my eyelid. I can definitely tell that the glitter needs a little bit more building up, and probably with some MAC Fix Plus this would be a really, really pretty vibrant shade, but for right now it's not super shocking, which is kind of what I wanted. Next shade I'm going to go into is, I think what I want to go into is Hot Mama, which is this really pretty burgundy shade. I think I'm going to go in with the Morphe M503, and this is sort of like a tapered blending brush, and I'm going to go right into Hot Mama. This one doesn't have as much kick up, and I'm just going to focus it on the outer thirds of my eyelid. Now this is a really pretty shade, but I'm definitely getting, I don't know if you can see it from my lights, I'm definitely getting a lot of fallout from this shade. I'm just taking my Morphe E49 and kind of just dusting that away. I think this probably needs like a flat shader brush, so let me go back in with another flat shader. I'm going in with another Sigma flat shader brush, and I'm gonna see if packing on the color, yeah, that does like so much better with this shade. Oh my god, that is so pretty. I'm going back over that shadow with the Hearts and Crafts shade that we had used, and kind of just blending out whatever I had laid down. I'm gonna have to go back over that like light shimmery section, because it seems like a lot of that darker shade had kicked up or kicked off a lot of that really pretty shimmer, which is like sometimes indicates that some shadows can be like really dry. I'm just layering glitter glue back over where some of that lighter shade had like kicked off, and I'm not seeing a lot of product distribution on my brush. Maybe if I try a synthetic brush, that might be better. Synthetic brush seems to be doing a lot better picking up these lighter, more shimmery shades. Next, I'm going to take this Tarte Stained Glass shade. Now, a lot of that is picked up on my brush. I'm using the Morphe M514 for this shade. Ooh, that's gorgeous. That is really, really pretty. It's like a really pretty warm mauve. Next, I'm going in with this pastel shade, and I'm just going into my crease just to kind of blend those shades up into the eyebrow. And I want just a little bit more definition. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take this like navy shade called Starry Night, and I'm just going to go in with a pencil brush. Take that on there. I don't see a lot of dust kick off of that. And I'm just going to kind of rub it in at the lash line, go up into the outer third of my crease and kind of create a small V. Can't with this shimmery shade. This is driving me crazy. It just keeps knocking off, and I'll be right back. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but I do not have any of the shimmery shade left on my eyelids. It has been completely blended away each time I've gone in. So what I'm going to do, I've already taken a synthetic brush, I've completely cleaned it, and I'm going to take a MAC Fix Plus, and I'm going to go in with the glitter glue, and we're going to go and see if the MAC Fix Plus is what really fixes the whole knocking off the pretty light shimmery shade, because that is what I really want as a pop on the inner corner of my eyelid. There it is. Now that seemed to do way better with the MAC Fix Plus. Now I'm going to take this really pretty shade Pearl Earring, and I think I want to use this in my inner corners and on my on my brow bone. Now I'm going to take this Stained Glass shade, and I'm going to go with a pencil brush underneath my lash line, and we're going to smudge it out and smoke it out. I'm using the Tarte So Fine eyeliner, and we're just going to make a really nice, like, little tiny wing. Now I've already curled my eyelashes, and I'm going to be skipping some false lashes because I really want to see how this Tarte mascara works, and I've never actually tried this. So this will be my first time, and I just want to see strictly just how the mascara looks with the look, because not a lot of people wear a lot of false lashes. I know I don't wear them every single day, and this is like really hard to open up. Okay. And by the way, my favorite mascara is the Too Faced Better Than Sex Waterproof Mascara, and I don't believe this is a waterproof formula. I'm going back in with a second layer on this one eye. I really like the amount of separation I get with the mascara. I'm just not seeing a lot of like thickness coming from it. I'm noticing I'm having to go in with like several layers to get like the opaqueness that I really like with my eyelashes like fully coated. I just think the Too Faced mascara does that a little bit better job for me than this one. I like how it grabs onto my bottom lashes whenever I try to use that there though. So that is the mascara and the eyeliner, guys. So next on to the face items. I'm going to be using both of these bronzers. This bronzer looks to be more matte. This one looks to be a little bit more on the shimmery side, a little bit warmer, because this one looks like a cool, sort of like a contour color. And then this is the highlight. This is in the shade Authentic, and this is a really pretty peachy. It's a really pretty peachy pink shade with a little bit of some gold reflex in there. I'm really excited for this part of the palette, and let's get into it. So to just in general bronze my face, I'm going to be using the shade Unique. This is the second bronzer in the palette with a little bit of the gold reflex. I don't think there's enough in here that'll really show a lot of gold reflex on my face, but I'm definitely wanting to use this to bronze up my face and warm it up, so that is what I'm going to use first. So I'm going to go in with a Morphe E34 brush. This is what I like to use just as like general bronzing. Okay, not a lot of kick up. There's some nice amount of product on the brush. Not a lot of kick off whenever I kick it up. And just going right in to where I normally bronze. Ooh, that is pigmented. So I think that's like a really pretty, just overall general bronzing shade. I can see a little bit of the micro glitters, but it's nothing that like accentuates my texture, I don't feel. It generally just looks basically matte. Now I'm going to be moving on to contour. I'm going to use this shade Provocative, and then I'm going to be using the Morphe E53. I just bought like a bunch of these brushes, the Elite 2 brush set, and I'm just trying them out right now to kind of see how I feel about them. So far so good. So I'm just going to be taking this E53, and I like to use this for my contour. I'm going right into that more ashier shade with just a little bit on one side of my brush. I'm going to go right into where I would chisel the cheekbone. You can tell there's a lot of definition there. The only thing I can tell about these shades is they're not going to be as universal for people with a lot darker skin tone than me. Kind of feel like that shade is really dark. Next, I'm going to be moving on to the highlight. I'm going to use this shade Authentic with another Morphe brush. This is the Morphe M501, one of my new all-time favorite highlighting brushes ever. All right, true test. Ooh, now that is really pretty. And this brush was clean before I even applied it to my face. I didn't think it would be this pigmented. I am quite surprised. That's like a really pretty, nice champagne-y gold shade. A little bit on the tip of the nose and at the top of the lip. I'm glad that it's a good highlighter because highlight has kind of been like a huge thing this year, so that would have been a really big disappointment if this highlighter was kind of bad. But that is like really glowy. Oh my gosh, I am in love. And then I'm going to take the blush Moment, and I'm just going to be taking my Morphe E4 brush. So I'm just taking this right on the apples of the cheeks. These are honestly some of my favorite formulation of blushes ever. This is really, oh my gosh, I love this shade. It's really, really pretty. Now Tarte included this little miniature lip gloss, which is so cute and tiny and so purse friendly. And this is in the shade Obvi. Oh my gosh. That is such a pretty shade. So this is my final makeup look for my first impressions. So now let's get into the swatches, which I know is what you're all here for. So right now I'm just going to be taking all 4 shades. I'm taking it from this side of the row all the way to the end of the row, and I'm just going to be taking each row by quad in order, just on the back of my hand, just so we can see with the finger swatch. So let's get swatching. So the first shade swatched is Glitter Glue, Nudes, Bronze Casting, and Silhouette. And while swatching all of these, the powders were kind of dry and stiff. And honestly, Glitter Glue, this did not become as foiled and shimmery as I would have liked. An example of some of Tarte's foiled shadows is Funny Girl in the Tartelette and Bloom palette. Like you can tell this is really pigmented, and then whenever I go to swatch beside Glitter Glue, it's just way more pigmented and buttery. The next row is going to be this row that I'm going to swatch. So those are all 4 of those swatches right there. Again, Water Lilies, Van Gogh With It, Metalwork, and then Charcoal Sketch. And here's the swatches for Water Lilies, Van Gogh With It, Metalwork, and Charcoal Sketch. I found that these swatched way more creamier and way more pigmented than the first row. This is the next row that I'll be swatching. Those are all 4 of those shades on the fingers. Again, this is Pearl Earring, and this sort of has a cream iridescent shimmer to it. This is Frameworthy, which is a matte in my skin tone, so it's really hard to see. This is First Impressionism, and this is a gray silver shimmer. And then this is Starry Night, and this is a matte navy. I'll be swatching this row next. And so these are the finger swatches, and you can tell this is like, this would make a really beautiful quad. Now this is the quad on my hand. This shade is Fresco, which is a skin colored matte. Hearts and Crafts, which is more on a peachy matte shade. It's more my skin tone, but a little bit warmer. You have Selfie Portrait, which is almost like a foiled finish. A really beautiful pink taupe. And then you have 1 2 Minute, which is like a satin, I wouldn't exactly say it's a matte, dark like burgundy brown plum shade. It's really, really beautiful in the palette. This is the next row that I'm going to be swatching. And these are the finger swatches. This is Porcelain Doll, Monochrome, Hot Mama, and then Stained Glass. Really beautiful, like berry quad. So this is Porcelain Doll, Monochrome. Porcelain Doll is a light matte pink. Then you have Monochrome, which is sort of like a taupey light pink shimmer. Then you have Hot Mama, which is like a burgundy shimmer. And then you have Stained Glass, which is a beautiful wine matte burgundy shade. It's beautiful, and this is probably one of my favorite shades I used today. This is the last row in the palette that I'm going to swatch. These are the finger swatches. This is Pastel, I Love It, Get Surreal, and Still Life. And these are the swatches for the last row. The first shade is Pastel, and this is a matte peach, really close to my skin tone. Again, you have a lot of these really light skin tone transition shades in this palette. The next one is I Love It, and again, this is more on the more neutral, cooler tone matte. And then this is Get Surreal, which is kind of like a pink, sort of like a taupe pink duochrome shimmer. And then you have Still Life, which is a really deep plum matte shade. I'm going to be swatching the bronzers, the highlight, and the blush. So those are all four of the finger swatches of the face products. This is Moment, Authentic, Unique, and then Provocative. So this is the blush, the highlighter, and the two bronzer swatches. This is Moment, this is Authentic, this is Unique, and this is Provocative. Moment is definitely got a little bit of micro gold shimmer. Authentic is a really pretty gold champagne highlight with a lot of shimmer. You've got Unique, it's a warmer bronze color with a little bit of gold shimmer. Then you have Provocative, which is more of an ashier bronze shade. And that is with me doing heavy swatches. Now, just as my general overall first impressions, I do like the palette. There are some shades that are hit and miss. I feel like they actually might translate better to your face rather than a finger swatch. So you'll definitely have to get out and play with these for yourself, see what you think. I think that this top row, these more foiled shadows, are a little bit more disappointing than what I thought they would be. I expected them to be really, really foiled, almost like the same consistency of the shimmery shadows that are in the Tarte in Bloom palette. Those are my favorite formulation of that type of shadow. Any type of shimmer I really love, just like a really foiled, very impactful type of shimmer. And I really love how all of these are laid out. It's sort of like quads. So if you're kind of new to makeup, you really want to get into your collector's type of makeup, I feel like these would be really cool to kind of learn how to pair up different type of makeup looks, because you can just start from this side of the actual palette and then move on in each row. You can do different looks. Like this is a very warm, shimmery bronze look. This is a very, you know, cranberry warm matte eye look with a little bit of a, you know, cranberry twist. Then you have some more of your more mauve pinks, and then you have your actual cranberry shades right down here. This would make a really nice neutral quad. This would actually be beautiful as like a really cool like blue-gray look if you wanted to do that. I really like the face products. These were really nice to me. As far as the mascara, the eyeliner, and the lip gloss, I feel like the lip gloss is a really beautiful shade. I just wish there was a little bit more of it, but that's like my own selfish personal reasons why I feel that way. I don't really think that this eyeliner is going to last me very long because it's just so tiny, and the formulation was really liquidy, and I found it kind of hard to kind of control where it went because it sort of bled on me just a little. But it was really, really black, and I don't think you'll have an issue of it bleeding once it sets. And then the Tarte Lash Paint Mascara was actually a really nice addition. You kind of get like a full face without your, you know, your concealer, your foundation, your powder, those things, but you generally have a full face of makeup here in this palette. I do really love different parts about this palette, and there's a lot of cons as well. I don't think that this palette is going to be really great for people with a variety of color. Light medium up to medium skin tone is really all I can see using this palette. I don't think it has that type of pigmentation there for women of color, anybody that's medium, deep, even, you know, to the darkest of skin tones. I don't think, you know, these bronzer shades, they're not going to hardly do anything for you. Granted, you could use these as eyeshadows. You could use this as an eyeshadow if you wanted to. But nobody buys a palette to use just the blushes and the bronzers, which are huge pan size, as an eyeshadow. Another thing is the palette size itself. It is really thick and bulky. I just don't know how I feel about how thick and bulky it is. I really do want to play with more of the actual shadows themselves. When I first saw this palette, I initially thought it would be this Tarte in Bloom palette, like ×2, because you're getting basically 12 shadows here, 12 shadows here. It's almost like getting double of this, but the pan sizes are way smaller. The formulation is different. I don't feel like the mattes are as creamy. There are a few mattes, like I really liked Van Gogh with it. I really liked these darker mattes. They worked really, really well. You have a lot of the same similar matte transition shades. While I'm all about some transition shades, I feel like it could have been mixed up a little bit more, added a little bit more variety as far as warm tones, cool tones, and even some color in this palette. But I get it, they were going for more your classic neutral palette with a full face of other type of makeup from Tarte, kind of getting a taste of what they can provide you. I feel like there's a lot of hits and misses in this palette. Not every shade is a 100% for me. I was really, really disappointed with this glitter glue shade. I do think that this palette is a good palette. It just is going to take a little extra work. My camera battery has died like 5 times, so I'm really sorry. As far as do I recommend this palette or not, I do think you get a big value for the dollar. You get a lot of different products in here, and there's a lot of different things about this palette that would be really great for even a beginner. The only thing is that these shadows just aren't as pigmented as I hoped, but they're still not terrible. They're not the worst shadows I've ever seen. I would still recommend this, even though it's probably not up to the same standards as like my Lorac Mega Pro 2 or Lorac Mega Pro 1. I really love those holiday palettes. I really love the Too Faced holiday palettes. I haven't got my hands on the Too Faced holiday palettes yet, so I'm super excited for this holiday season. Leave me a request in the down bar below if you have any specific holiday collections that are coming out that you would like for me to review, and I would love to do like future looks with them. I'm going to keep this palette simply because I feel like it does have a lot of potential. I'm not giving hope up on it yet, but I do think that it does have its up and downs. It's not a 100% perfect palette, but I do think that the shadow arrangement on this is absolutely beautiful. I would say if you're a definite makeup collector, that this is going to be one that you're going to want in your collection. If you're not, if you're looking for just like shadows that are amazing right out the gate, you're looking for top-notch quality, everything in the palette works seamlessly together, I don't think that this is going to be the exact palette for you. And it's a very neutral palette, and if you have neutral palettes, you might have some of these shades anyway. That's my opinion on this so far. That's my first impression. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment in the down bar below of exactly what you thought about the swatches, what you thought about this palette. I would love to get a discussion started about, you know, how these companies come out with these big huge holiday palettes, and sometimes they're not the same quality as their other normal standard production line quality products are. And I think sometimes we miss that in collaborations and then also holiday big palettes like this. I look forward to hearing you guys' opinions about this palette and what you want me to review in the future. I definitely want to try doing another makeup look with this if it ends up being one of my go-to palettes. I would love to film another tutorial. Maybe you guys are looking for some ideas if you do purchase this palette. Let me know again in the comments down below. I will leave all my social media links here in the video or somewhere in the down bar below as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had so much fun making it, and I'm so glad that I got this palette because even though it was, you know, sort of hit and miss, it was still really fun to do. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!